Hi and welcome to another edition, let's try that again, another edition of OnSide SA. Budge, myself and Steve, the international pundit, Stevie B, will be going through especially the Euros that are coming up. We're touching on the playoffs that are happening in South Africa. And Budge, obviously we're giving you some great bets, but let's start with South Africa, Budge.
Oh, Paul,
no. Tell me about Bafana.
Well, Friday night's good result, Paul, in Nigeria. Yeah, you go player for player or name for name. Yeah, they obviously outclass us, but we're a team. You know, a lot of the guys are Sundance guys, but Bafana's a team. Nigeria, Bruce has done well. Nigeria come, a lot of big names, Paul here, Nacho and Lukman, but they don't seem to play together. So when you come into these games at the end of a long season, you know, we scored early. Unfortunately, we conceded just after half time, but 1-1 fair result, Paul, against Zimbabwe on Tuesday. Scored first minute. I thought, here we go. Then they scored in the second minute. But a bit dodgy at times, Paul, but 3-1, great result, and puts us in a good position.
Puts us in a good position. Now, I'm just looking at the groups here. Group C, Budge.
Yeah.
Rwanda is ahead of us.
Yeah. They won, remember, they beat Lesotho and Durban. Lesotho play their games in South Africa.
That's right. So 7 points, South Africa, and then Benin. These are small teams.
Benin beat us, I think that's our next game, Benin away. We beat
7 points. Yeah. So there's 3 teams on 7 points.
Yeah.
Lesotho 5 points. Nigeria 3. That's just not
Paul,
right.
that's what we want. There's 10 group games. We want them out the way because that's a team that normally come back and take us away. But Paul, we've got a great chance. We've got Lesotho and Durban, home and away.
For once, you can say you're quite pleased with
Paul,
what they're doing.
Yeah, I like what I see, Paul.
You like what you see with the national side.
Let's hope we can. Paul, we can't get in the playoffs. We've got to qualify automatically. Because once you get into the playoffs, home and away, you may get a quality team. But
looking at some of these sides, but you know, Benin, Lesotho, it's like South Africa playing cricket against Nepal.
Yeah, but you play on that wicket in New York and everyone's got a chance. But Paul, this is the best chance we've had in a long time.
Highest chase down's 137 at this stage.
India got 119 with that batting lineup. But anyway, it happens.
Okay, so let's look at the promotion relegation page. That's very interesting because Barocco and University of Pretoria 1 each. So what is it with the standings at this stage? 4 points, 4 points, 2 points. Richards Bay, University of Pretoria 4 each. Barocco under pressure 2.
Yeah. Well, Paul, the last game is Barocco against Richards Bay. You know, so if Richards Bay beat University of Pretoria, that's it. It's done.
If Richards Bay, when are they playing?
They play Saturday, Paul. We've got the betting up there.
If Barocco beat Richards Bay...
No, University of Pretoria playing Richards Bay on Saturday. So University of Pretoria have got to win. If they win, they're in a great chance. You know, because then they'll have 7 points. But Richards Bay have got Barocco to play at home.
So it's still interesting.
It's going to go to the wire, Paul. Got to fancy Richards Bay to stay in the PSL, but tough game, Paul. University, Richards Bay, Paul. It's got a draw written all over it because Richards Bay will come and park the bus because a draw suits them.
So,
but it'll be a tense game. Paul, 2-1's the right betting on the game. So that's what I would suggest.
Let's get the international pundit, Stevie B. He's in Madeira. He gets around. Creature of habit, he says. He's always in Madeira. Stevie, welcome.
Good morning.
Morning, Steve. We've got a couple...
As they say here, bon dia.
Whatever that means, Steve.
But, all the best, Steve.
Good morning, Okay, Paolo, I was robbed.
Before you attack him on show topics, Budge, I just want to say we'd like to thank Man United for keeping their manager from all the other teams in the league. Stevie, what's the story with Eric Ten Hag? What's that?
You've got to wonder what was going on. Also, they were talking about having this review. It sounds like they interviewed a number of other managers, but you just wonder what they want. They obviously spoke to big names like Pochettino and Tuchel, and I guess these guys are strong characters. They don't want to be told necessarily who they can buy, who they can't buy, who they got to play, the way they got to play. And I guess ultimately they just want to coach. And Eric Ten Hag will obviously do as Ineos and will tell him. Now, whether or not, I saw lots of comments from fans, quite a lot actually, are quite happy to keep him on the basis that they just don't, they say that, Fergie was given a few years before he could gel a team together. But, it really was, the FA Cup aside, which was a great performance and win, the rest of the season was pretty dire.
Yeah.
That's an understatement, Dusty.
But you've been
I've watched
anti him.
4
You've been
games.
anti him, yeah.
The fans, that Liverpool game where we sneaked in the cup, the fans were streaming out of Old Trafford, scored an injury time, they all came flying back.
Yeah.
But they were streaming out.
Yeah.
And I was at the Brentford game, 2-1 down. They were pouring. I went on the bus because I had to get a lift back to the station. There are thousands. McTominay scored 2 goals in injury time.
That's right.
The fans, let's see. If before the game they polled him before the Man City game, 99% get him out. Now we beat Man City. They were woeful. We played above ourselves.
Now it's a 50-50.
And now it's 50. Yeah, let's give it a couple of games.
If you're in charge, he's gone.
Gone. The only thing, and I agree with Steve, is people like Tuchel and Pochettino coming with demands. I want to sign my players. Reportedly, Tuchel said the first player he wants to sign is Rudiger.
Well, they're not going to take
They're
him.
not going to take him. So
How old is he?
he's 31. You know, so... but from what I read this morning, Steve, and he's got 3 demands. The first one is they have to get rid of Jadon Sancho.
Are these, sorry, Ten Hag?
This is Ten Hag's demand via the Manchester Evening News. The second one was he's going to keep his style of play. Whatever it was, playing out the back where fullbacks can't pass the ball, he wants to continue that. And the third one is he wants to keep Benny McCarthy as a forward coach. So I'm glad for Benny.
I'm glad
so
for Benny.
Benny's the least of the problems at the club.
Yeah.
But I don't know. For me, it's a mistake. After 5 games, I want to hear the fans. I'd love to take their names, have their numbers, and after 5 games, phone them and say, listen, you had a lot to say last year. What do you think now?
Yeah. What do you think, Steve?
Well, look, I mean, I was at the camp, as a neutral, thinking that they really underperformed, and therefore you'd have assumed that they would have looked for somebody else. But I guess the FA, I can't believe they just changed their mind just because of the FA Cup win. But you just don't know. Look, I mean, the style of play, some of those games, I watched them obviously live on the TV, not there. They were just a shadow of the team that
4-0 to Crystal Palace.
Yeah, so you just wonder, look, obviously he's got an issue with Jadon Sancho. If he's not going to play and they want to sell him, they'll obviously get a huge loss on the books. There's no question. Or I know Dortmund would love to keep him, but I don't think Dortmund have got the money to buy him. Yeah. He's got to get Rashford playing better. We can't have Rashford skulking around in the background again. And he's got to get a tune out of. I think the thing that has saved him, he's got some good youngsters coming through. And whether or not
coming back, Steve, the guy who Greenwood.
In spite of him, he's got Kobe Mainu come through, and you've obviously got Garnacho, and there's other young players sort of probably chomping at the bit. But they do need to. They've just got to bring in the right type of player. And now whether or not Ineos and their recruitment team are going to be able to do that in the summer, because they've got to hit the ground running. They're not going to give him another year of finishing sort of out. I'm sure he'd be given a target of Champions League football.
Yeah. For me, it's quite simple. Yeah.
Sorry, but when have they set a date for the Community Shield?
No, it's the
it's the weekend before the beginning of the season, so it'll be the second. I think
it's the second Saturday or Sunday in June, and then August, I think.
In August, yeah. The season starts the third weekend in August.
Yeah. Well, the fixtures come out on Tuesday, so we'll have to check that out. Yeah. Steve, for me, it's straightforward. Sign the kid Branthwaite from Everton. He's as good a young centre half as there is. We've got to get a central midfield player that can say, I would go and sign your boy Paulinho, because we need an anchor man.
What's the latest on him, Budge?
Well, Steve will let us down. The third thing is they've got to bring Greenwood back. I know there's going to be a lot of abuse for him, but wherever he plays, he gets abuse. If you've got to swap somebody, swap Sancho.
Bring him back.
But this guy, but we've got to bring Greenwood back. He's a proper goal scorer. He's a youngster. Otherwise, they're going to have to swap him for somebody. That's the only thing I see happening with Sancho and Greenwood. Then no one's going to buy them for the 50, 60 million they want.
And he's keeping the Brazilian?
Well, no one wants a Brazilian. Okay. They left him at the bus stop outside Old Trafford. No one would pick him up. So, no. We've got better young players. Palestri plays for Uruguay. Yeah. We've got Amad Diallo. Got Rashford, Garnacho. It's not hard to work out what we need. But anyway, what can we do?
They got to play for their manager, and they didn't last year.
They don't trust him. I wouldn't trust him either. Anyway, Steve, on to the Euros, and we're going to go through group by group, and who'll win the group, and who do you think will qualify? First group up is Group A. Are the German certainties?
Well, I don't know about certainties, but I think that they will be too strong. They've if you look at their results, they've come on stronger recently, and I think they'll look at that group and I think that they'll think, this is okay. Yeah. There's not a standout second team. There's a decent second teams, but not standout. So I think Germany will start off with a win to open the tournament against Scotland, and that will set them on their way.
All right, who you got finishing second?
I quite like Hungary. I think in the Euros last time they were superb, and in the Nations League they've done well.
Yeah.
You've got players like Szoboszlai of Liverpool. Switzerland are dark horses. They always sort of find a way. But and I think that if Hungary beat them in that first game, I think they'll go through in second place.
Yeah, so do I. The thing is with Switzerland, they've got all the old campaigners, Sommer in goals. They've got Shaqiri, Xhaka. They've got all the usual suspects. But their last 5 competitions, they've qualified for the knockout stage, the Swiss. Unbelievable. But I totally agree, Steve. 66-10 to qualify Hungary, and I think they'll finish second.
Yeah.
The Scots, any chance?
I think there'll be game, but I think there is a lack of quality across the squad compared to one or two of the others. And I think, I think they'll lose their first game, but I think they'll pick up a point. Yeah. I'm not sure they'll win a game, but I think they'll pick up at least a point. But I don't think it'll be enough for them. Yeah,
I agree. Top Scottish goal scorer, 11-2, Scott McTominay.
Shankland, I think it's their...
well, they've lost Lyndon Dykes. He's injured, so they're going to struggle.
Yeah, they've lost Dykes, but I think Shankland is probably the player that they're looking to now.
Okay. Anyway, on to Group B. We've got Spain, Croatia, Italy and Albania. What do you think, Steve?
Tough group. I mean, obviously, you've got a team like Croatia that are always sort of there or thereabouts. Obviously they've got an ageing team. But this is 3 big teams. With Albania as the whipping horses. And I think that I think this could be a tough one for Croatia. They might be capable of holding one of the 2 big teams, but I'm not sure they've got enough to beat Spain or Italy. So for me, I fancy Spain to win that first game, but I think it'll be tight. Yeah,
I see that Croatian team, if ever the side that's got know-how, they always qualify. They've got players, and they've got a lot of good young players too on the outskirts, where they start with Brozovic, Modric and Kovacic, the Man City player, but they've got soldiers, and they'll get through. The first game is going to be... What about Italy, Steve? That's a team I cannot have, though.
Yeah, you can't. It's hard to look. I mean, no one fancied them last time, and they ended up beating England on penalties. I think they'll get off to a good start. I think that they'll beat Albania. I think it'll be tight, but I can't see Italy. I think they'll go through, but I can't see them going sort of too far in the tournament. They just. You look at their results recently; they've just not been that impressive.
Not for me, Steve. I don't think they'll get out the group. 5-1 not to get out the group's my play, and I think Spain, Croatia. That Salvini was a Brazilian left back. He's in charge of Albania. They finished above, I think it was the Czech Republic and Poland in their group. Be careful of that group. That's a dangerous team, Albania. And with these small teams, they've got 13, 14 players, and everybody knows their role. Well, these bigger teams, but Italy, they're in transition. They've lost majority of their starting 11 from that one, the Euros in England. That's one team I can't have, Steve, but... 1-8, not for me. But Croatia to finish second is my suggestion. On to Group C, we've got...
It's coming
home. Is it coming home, Steve?
I'm not sure it is, actually. I know you can't take much note of the friendlies, but, they looked a bit of a shambles, when you sort of mix the match. Look, this is a tricky group. I think it's a group England can get out of. I don't think England are going to win all 3 games for sure. And I think the key is going to be that they don't lose a game. If they even sort of win and a couple of draws or 2 wins and a draw will be enough. But I think it'll be tight. Tough game to start with. Serbia got some experienced players. I think they'll have a go. I think England should win, but I think it's going to be tight.
Can your boy Mitrovic score a goal or 2?
Well, I think he can score. That's a bit of a worry for England because, he's a bit of a flat track bully. He's been scoring a lot of goals in Saudi, but again, it's in Saudi. So whether or not it's a step up. But England have got defensive frailties. We know that John Stones missed a training session. Whether Luke Shaw is fit enough to come straight in, possibly not. So I think this is an issue for England, is their defence. Going forward, they've got players that but they've got to you've got to get the best out of Foden, Saka. Harry needs to get his shooting boots on. I think we might need to score a couple to win this game.
Yeah, I totally agree. Ironically, Steve, Denmark.
Who's going through?
Yeah, I'm going to say I've got. I think Serbia going through a second place to England. My problem with Denmark is they were in the same group as Slovenia, and they drew. They only beat them because of a better head-to-head record. The Danes. They kept three. I think it was 3 clean sheets in the 10 group games. Schmeichel's still in goal. I think he's past it. The Danes can score goals, but I don't know. I'm not as impressed as I was with them the last time. So Slovenia, you never know, Steve. But I've got Serbia, 57 to 100 to go through. I think that's not a bad bet. On to Group D. We've got the team that should be favourites: France, Netherlands, Austria, and Poland. Steve, how do you see it?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think everybody fancies France to go deep in the tournament. I think, Austria, always put up a bit of a fight, but France should beat them. And I think the Netherlands will go through. Poland are not the strongest team. Yeah. A lot of the Dutch players we know. And I think, if you look at some of the groups, you'd think that this is sort of 1-2 looks clearer in this group than most of the others.
The thing is, Steve, that Austria won 6 of the 8 group games. And they're a dangerous team. If ever you got a chance against the French, it's the first group game. Because they've got so many players. They've got 2 teams. If they put the second team in, they'll be one of the favourites. And that's my only concern with France in the first game against Austria. That Ralf Rangnick, the United manager, he was much maligned at United, but he's done a good job with this team. And first game up, I think that's the game where there could be an upset. But I think all 3 teams will go through.
Is Rangnick helping?
Is it Austria?
Austria.
Got there, they've done great. They've only lost 1 since he's been there. And I think they'll danger 9 to 10 to go through. I've had an interest on that. On to Group E. We've got the favourites, Belgium.
Are they favourites to win the tournament?
Yeah, no, to win the group. We've got Belgium, Romania, Ukraine and Slovakia. Steve?
Yeah, I mean, I think that Belgium are favourites to win the group. They haven't done brilliantly sort of recently, but you've got a player like Lukaku up front, who just keeps scoring goals for them, and you got sort of Kevin De Bruyne obviously on his day can find him. I think that I think they'll win the group. I think it's tight between the others. I've just got a feeling Ukraine might edge it, and that's obviously a key game against Romania. I think Ukraine. If they edge that, then I think they'll go through in second place. Yeah,
I totally agree with the Ukraine. Romania, they've got that madman that plays centre-half for Spurs. Dragosan, They won 6 and drew 4 of their 10 group games. The problem I've got is while they only conceded 5, they only scored 16, so goals is going to be a problem for me. I've got the Ukrainians, I fancy. You have a look at the team. They stacked, and all their qualifying games were played away from home. So I know they sneaked in the playoffs, but I fancy them to go have a good run in the competition. Slovakia, I think, will score goals, but I don't know. I don't see them. But for me, I've got Belgium and then Ukraine in that order. The only problem with with Belgium going forward, Steve, that Courtois, goalkeeper from Real Madrid, I can't believe they dropped him early because he's the best keeper in the world for me, and he's not in the squad. So despite them going forward, I worry about the Belgians. The Tongans still playing at the back, so that's my concern. Last but not least, Steve, we go on to Group F. Portugal. And we've got Portugal, we've got Turkey, Georgia, and the Czechs.
Yeah, I mean, I think this group is going to, you look at the group and you think Georgia are going to be the whipping boys pretty much. Portugal are expected to win the group, and I think they will. You look at their squad, on paper it's so strong. Yeah. I think the key game here is going to be at the end is Czech against Turkey as to who goes through in second place. I fancy Turkey. They always make themselves hard to beat in tournaments. I think they'll beat Georgia on the first game, so I think the Czechs will have a lot to do. So for me, if Portugal beat the Czech Republic comfortably on day one, I think that they'll win the group, and then Czech or Turkey in that last game to decide who goes through.
Yeah, I agree. Straight forecast. Portugal, Turkey. Turkey have got that 19-year-old that plays for Real Madrid. I don't know. I forget his name. He scored 6 goals off the bench in 9 games. He's one of their upcoming stars, and I think Turkey could be quite dangerous. Steve, you're going to get the outright betting here, so we'll go through it. I've got the top 8 teams. I've got England 33-10. How far do you think they can go?
With a fair win, I think they could get through to the semis. Okay. They get a good draw. They need to win the group. Yeah. They want to avoid the sort of group winners of the other groups. But they just have to up their game. Everyone was talking about them as sort of winning the tournament, but they just haven't shown that in the last year. Been very disappointing results. Yeah. So I think if he can get the best out of the players he's got, then they'll go far. But the defence worries me. I mean, they've got key injuries to key players, and that defence does not look the strongest. Yeah, I agree. They're scheduled to meet the French in the semi-final. I think that's the furthest England will go. So I wouldn't be taking much more than reach the semi-final. Whoever beats the French will win the competition. I've got a couple of bets. I've got them to reach the final 16-10. I didn't back them to win outright because I fancy another. And I think 6-10 to reach the semi-finals, an absolute gift. Steve, the Germans, a lot of pundits fancy them. I don't, but how far do you see them going? Well, again, I think obviously they're at home, home support. I think they could get through to the semis as well. I think obviously they'll win their group, and then obviously it gives them the round after that. I think gives them a good opportunity. Yeah. So I think look. We don't know. There's always 1 or 2 shocks, but I think on paper you'd think that being the home team they could get through to at least the semis. Yeah, I've got them getting stuck out in the quarters, but 11-10 to reach the semis isn't too bad. Portugal, Steve, what do you think? Yeah, I think the semis for me. Sometimes they underperform. But but you look at their squad and they've got some superb array of talent there. It's whether or not they gel as a team. They don't always do that, but I think they could go far in this tournament. Yeah, for me that's the second best team behind the French, and I'm on the Portuguese. My only problem is, can Roberto Martinez control Ronaldo? Because if they can't, they could be gone early. But they've got as good a team as anybody. You go through player for player, just look up front. The guys on the bench, Pedro Neto and all, they're outstanding. Team, yeah. They've got a great draw, and they'll get to the semis. My only problem is Ronaldo. If they can sort him out, they've got my money to win it. On to our second page of outright winners. And the second, when it comes up, we got Spain. 8-1 Spain, Steve. Worth an interest? Yeah. I think, and so slightly outsiders compared to some of the big teams. Yeah. Again, in the past, obviously we know how strong they were in tournaments. They'll make themselves hard to beat, but I just don't see them winning it. Yeah, I just got them getting to the semis with Portugal sticking them out. But ironically, their last 4 times they've been knocked out in competitions. It's all been on a penalty shootout, so worth bearing in mind. Italy, Steve, I can't have them. Can you? No, I don't fancy them. I don't think they'll reach the semis. Yeah. I think they'll go out beforehand. Yeah, team in transition, not for me. Belgium, how far can they get to the semis? They could do, but I just think, again, they've got a mix of they've got a few too older players for me, who I think have come into the end of their sort of tournament career, and they just always end up just sort of failing, don't they? Yeah. They just don't seem to have what it takes to get to that final stage, and I don't think they will this time either. Even got that Jeremy Doku of Man City, so they're great going forwards. With the 2 centre-halves with Vertonghen, who must be 38, 39, and that Wout Fez, the guy with the crazy hair that plays for Leicester. So not far. And the Dutch, can they spring a surprise? They can do, again, but they've got a real mix of sort of players, big names that we know, younger players. I can't see them winning it somehow, but I think they could go deep in the tournament. Yeah, they're always a knockout team. They should have stuck out Argentina. Remember, they were 2 down, got beat on penalties. So they've got Van Dijk at the back. They've got players, that team, so you just never know. Steve, on to the games. We kick off on Friday. 1-4 Germany. Will I have your money? Yeah, you would think so. Pretty short, but I think that they definitely warrant being favourites.
Yeah, I went Germany to win and both teams to score. I think the Scots will score 28-10. That's my suggestion. Steve, Hungary, Switzerland, big game in Group A. Which way is it going?
It is a big game. Yeah, it's a big game and possibly a decisive game. I fancy Hungary to bring us a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, totally agree. 7-10, Hungary win and draw. That's my play in that game. Spain, Croatia. This should be a good game, Steve.
I think it will be a good game. I think possibly Spain by 1, but I wouldn't be surprised if Croatia hold them.
Yeah, you just never know with Croatia. Always difficult. Both teams to score 9.5-10. That's my play in that game. Italy, Albania. Is this the upset of the first round?
I think Italy, but I think it'll be very close. Maybe something like a 1-0 sort of game.
Yeah, Albania have done well. We don't see or hear much of them, but I don't trust the Italians. So if ever there's an upset or a draw, it could well be that particular game. Poland, the Netherlands, Steve. Lewandowski, they're due to come right one of these tournaments, surely.
Yeah, I think Netherlands just a little bit too strong. I think it'll be could be maybe like the odd goal in 3. I think they could win it, but I think Netherlands get off to a winning start.
Yeah, fancy 7-10 the Dutch. Slovenia, Denmark.
Yeah, tough game. I think Denmark might just edge that. I think they'll look at this game as one that they really want to win. I think it'll be tight, but I think they might just edge it, Denmark.
Yeah, Slovenia won 7 of the group games, and their 2 defeats were both by Portugal by the odd goals. So the games were close in the group. So I've got the draw in that particular game. England 5-10, Steve.
Yeah, quite sure. I think this will be a tight game. I think if they were to win it, it's going to be by a goal. They can't afford to lose. This is the sort of game. If you can't win it, you mustn't lose it. And they're just going to be tight at the back, England. To cut out any careless mistakes, which they seem to have done and cost them goals in these friendlies recently. So I think for me, Serbia will let in goals. I think I think England is going to be a little bit braver going forward, and I think they could win this.
Yeah, I think over 2.5 goals, 8-10. Over 2.5 goals, both teams to score, yes, 14-10. Those are suggestions for that game. Romania, Ukraine. Steve, is 11-10 a decent price?
Yeah, I'm going to go for Ukraine. I think that they can just edge it. I think that's a reasonable price. This is the game they're going to look at and want to try and win. Yeah. And I fancy Ukraine just to win again, could be by a goal.
Yeah, the only problem is these are the 2 teams that they're possession-based sides, and they may not want to lose the first game, so that's why the draw comes into it. But I fancy the Ukraine of the 2 teams. On to our final page in our qualifiers, Belgium against Slovakia. Steve, expect the Belgians to get off to a good start?
I think they will. I think they should win it. Slovakia are not the worst team, but I think Belgium will look at this and will get off to a winning start.
Yeah, I'll be looking at Lukaku. I think he was 12-10 any time. I think he was like 9-2 first goal scorer. So I'll see what the price and have an interest there. Austria, France, Steve. Big game for the Austrians.
It is, but I think France, again, you look at their team, he's got an embarrassment of riches in a way, but if Mbappe fires, then you just feel that they're going to win this one.
Yeah, I'm only concerned for the French is a goalkeeper, that Marc Magnan. He plays for AC Milan. I've watched him a few times. He's a bit dodgy. I know everyone had a go at Hugo Lloris, but he was a stabilising influence in that French team, and so was Varane. And if ever the French are going to get done, it's in the first game. So, the Austrians could cause an upset. I think there'll be goals in that, Paul. I don't think the French are as good at the back as they used to be, but France to win, both teams to score. Yeah, it's friendlies are another story. But first games are always an upset. Steve, 8-10 Turkey. I'm all over it. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think so. I think Georgia for me be the whipping boys of the group.
Yeah.
I think Turkey will just we should win that.
Yeah, 8-10 Turkey all day. And the last game, Portugal against Czech Republic.
Yeah, it's hard to see beyond Portugal, and I think they'll get off to a winning start.
Yeah, the good thing about Portugal, there are a couple of big guys at the back, so the Czechs are set-piece kings, they sling everything in. Portugal to win by more than one is 15-10, worth considering. Right. Steve, pressure time again, Steve, Euros week 1. I'm
going to go for Ukraine as my best bet, and I'm going to go for Hungary as my value bet. I think 5-2 is a reasonable bet. They're a decent side. So, but a lot of these early games could be tight, and teams aren't going to want to lose. So, a draw is not the worst result in the opening game. Losing puts you at a disadvantage. Yeah,
I'm on Turkey, Steve, and Hungary. Totally agree. The only thing is, though, is that with 16 teams of the 24 going through, you can take a chance in the first game. So if you do lose the first game, you could be one of the 4 lucky third place sides. So sitting back and getting a point, you never know. But for me, I think there'll be a few goals in this competition. Yeah, but I'm all over the Portuguese.
Right,
Cristiano Ronaldo.
Fantastic.
Steve, enjoy Madeira. You're in his
Madeira.
hometown. That's where he's from, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Oh, you're going to get his
hometown? You see you've got his statue, he's got his hotel, he's got the museum here dedicated to him. You can't avoid him.
Yeah, well, with all the money he donates there, the airport's named after him as well, isn't it?
I don't know if the airport is, but they've got, they've got a big museum here near the port.
Okay.
They're dedicated just to him.
Well, maybe it's good timing.
The CR7 Museum.
All right, Steve, enjoy Madeira. We'll speak to you later.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Bye.
Budge, give me your soccer picks.
Yeah, Paul, we start off on Friday. It's a Soccer 13. It's the international one, so the Soccer 13 is first up. I'm banking Germany to beat Scotland. I'm going the field in the Hungary, Switzerland, and Spain versus Croatia fixtures. I've thrown the draw in with Italy against Albania. I think the Netherlands would be too good for Poland. I think Denmark and Slovenia will be a tight game. I don't see Denmark losing it, so I'm going Denmark in the draw. I've got to think England will win the first game against Serbia, so I'm banking England. On to our second page, I'm going the Ukraine to avoid defeat against Romania. Banking Belgium to beat Slovakia. I'm throwing the draw in with in the France-Austria game, looking for the ups, and ending up with 3 bankers. Turkey to beat Georgia, Portugal to beat the Czech Republic, and Germany to beat Hungary in the second round of fixtures. 288, yeah.
Right,
Saturday, Soccer 6. I'm going Hungary win and draw against Switzerland. The field in the University of Pretoria Richards Bay game. The field as well in the Spain versus Croatia match. Into Argentina, I'm going CA Union win and draw against San Lorenzo. And 2 bankers. Atletico Hurricane to beat Independiente Rivadavia, and RB Bragantino to beat Juventude 2-1-6. The second Soccer 6, I'm going the field in the Spain-Croatia game. Italy win and draw against Albania. Atletico Tucumán in the field against Defensa y Justicia. Banking Netherlands to beat Poland. Denmark to avoid defeat against Slovenia, and banking England to beat Serbia 2-1-6. The Soccer 10 is all the American MLS. I'm going the field in the Atlanta United Houston Dynamo match. Banking Charlotte to be too good for DC United. New England Revolution win and draw at home against Vancouver Whitecaps. I think the New York Red Bulls will beat Nashville. Los Angeles, one of the top teams in America, win and draw at Orlando City. Onto our second page, I'm going the Philadelphia Union to avoid defeat against the Lionel Messi-less Inter Miami. Banking Toronto.
Not playing.
No, he's in with Argentina, Copa Americas. Toronto to be too good for the Chicago Fire. FC Dallas to avoid defeat at home against St. Louis City. Banking the Colorado Rapids to beat Austin in the field. In the Seattle Sounders Minnesota United game, 288.
Budgie's best bets.
All Euros, Paul, so taking a chance. Some of the odds may have gone out, some may have shortened, but our first one is I'm going Germany to win Group A, France to win Group D, and I'm chancing the Portuguese to win it, 3,600 to 200.
That's right.
Yep. The group points double. I'm going Germany and Portugal, both to win all 3 games to collect 9 points, and that is 1,800 to 200. On to the second, I'm going team total goals. I'm going the Czech Republic, Serbia, and Turkey all to score over 4.5 goals, and the Ukraine to score over 5.5 goals, 3,800 to 200. The player goal assists, this is an interesting market. I've gone Kevin De Bruyne to have over 2.5 assists.
The whole tournament?
Yeah. I'm going Bruno Fernandes, Phil Foden and Anton Griezmann all to have over 1.5 assists.
Whoa,
And Luka Modric to have an assist. That's 1 assist. Was 20 to 1, 4,000 to 200. So I thought that was a brilliant
The
bet.
worry for me is, will they play Modric?
It's him and 10 others. All he's going to do is make 1 goal and he's in. Yeah.
Okay, teams to
Okay,
qualify.
then teams to qualify for the last 16. I couldn't take 1 to 5,
No,
1
of
to
course,
20.
of course. You
So I've
gotta
gone for a little bit of value. I've gone for Hungary, Serbia, Austria, Ukraine, and the Czech Republic. 10 to 1, 2,200. And teams not to qualify for the last 16. This is going to go well with a lot of my mates. I'm going Scotland.
Juventus will
And
like this.
I was with my Italian boys yesterday. Weren't impressed when I told them. Scotland and Italy both not to qualify. Great price, 10 to 1, Paul. You can't get hurt. 2,200. So, Paul, obviously the first game is difficult, but it's France to beat, Paul.
But I'm looking forward to it.
Oh,
I think
Paul, it's
some
great.
good football. Yeah. And 3 o'clock, sort of 6 o'clock.
3, 6, and 9, Paul. Great times
3,
for
6,
us.
9. The goose drank 1.
Okay.
It's fantastic. Well, Budge, I'm with you, and you've gone Portugal. I say it's coming home.
Yeah, I hope so, Paul, but with that back four.
Well, until next time, stay on side.